My name is Daniel Jude Miller, and I am very excited to talk to all of you today. You know why? Because I am a person that makes books. Yep, I write the stories for books. I also do the drawings for books. I actually put the books all together. You see all these books here? I made all of those. And I'm going to show you how I do it, and I'm going to tell you something about it, and I'm going to read some of my stories for you. But before we get started, I want to show you the most important book I have, and it's this one here. This book is important because I did not make it. That seems strange, right? Well, I'll tell you why it's still important. Because a long time ago, I went to a school, and a boy named Milan gave me this book. And Milan wrote this story all by himself. It's called Pete and the Acorns. He wrote it all by himself, and then he did all the drawings by himself. And then his mom and dad went on the computer and had a company make him his book. And he gave a copy to all the kids in his class, and all his friends got to read his story. And he gave one to me. Now here's the important part. How many of you can guess what grade Milan was in? What do you think? How old do you think you have to be to make a book? Well, guess what? Milan was only in the first grade. It's true. He wrote the story himself. He did all the drawings by himself. And then he created Pete and the Acorns. Now, the reason that I tell that story is because if I can make books and Milan can make books, that means we can all make books. So I'm going to tell you some of my stories, but I want you to think of some good ideas that you might have, and you could come up with a good idea for a story and do some drawings and staple it together and make your very own book. All right, so I have a lot of different jobs to do, and I'm going to show you where I do them. I get to work here. That's my office. I'm very lucky because I get to work in my house all the time. So I wake up in the morning and I walk down the hall. I don't hit any traffic going to work, and I'm already there. And I sit at my desk and I draw and I write stories and I go on the computer and color in my pictures. Now, if you look really close, what do you think I'm wearing in this picture? You're right. Those are my pajamas. Isn't that funny? I get to wear my pajamas to work every single day. And I'll tell you why. Because I have a lot of work to do, and I want to be comfortable while I do it. So, this journey for me started a very long time ago when I was almost around the same age as most of you. It's true, long before I was making books and long before I was writing stories, I found the thing that I loved the most when I was in around first grade. That thing was art. I loved art, and I have loved art for a long time, and I can prove it because my mother took some pictures of me making my first drawings. So I think this one is around, like I said, around the first grade. And there I am doing finger paintings of my cat Puma. This next one is, I think, from around kindergarten. Here's a little advice. If you want to make a rainbow, put all the crayons in one hand and you can make it in one motion. Now this next one is the photo of me doing my first ever drawing. And I'll admit, it's a little bit embarrassing, so I'm going to ask that you promise not to laugh. Okay? You promise? All right, here it comes. The first photo of me making art. Do I hear you laughing? I hope not. No, I'm just kidding. That's a very funny photo, okay? But it's also not real. That's my real head, but that's a drawing of my body, okay? But the truth is I have been drawing for a very, very long time, since I was in around kindergarten or first grade, and I can prove it because these are my actual real drawings. All right, when I was younger, I used to like to draw things like airplanes, and helicopters. I like to draw dragons and dinosaurs. Sometimes I would imagine stories in my mind about skeletons and knights fighting on the moon. And then I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced a lot. Everyone always asks me, how do you get better at drawing? And there's really only one thing that you can do. There's no secrets and there's no magic. You practice. And I promise you that if you practice and you like drawing so much and you do it all the time, you'll get much, much better. And that's what happened to me. I did so many drawings that eventually I got a job where I got to draw all day long. And the job was to do drawings for stories that other people had written. So here is a poor cat that got caught up in some yarn. And this was a drawing from a book that someone else wrote. It was called Dr. B. And Dr. B was a veterinarian, the type of doctors that take care of animals. And she would come across poor animals like this cat here, and she would help them and make them better. So someone else wrote the story, but I did the drawings. She eventually met a dog with a hurt leg, and Dr. B fixed the dog's leg and gave him a bone, and the dog was happy. So then I worked on another book. It was a book again that someone else had written, but I did the drawings about the dinosaur that jumped out of the movie and ran all over the people's house. And then there was one last book I did for someone else. It was a book about superhero moms. There was one that was real strong. There was one that could fly, and there's one that could run really, really fast. So remember again, somebody else would write this story, but then I would do the drawings. But then something interesting happened. I got my own idea for a story. And I'll tell you where I got it. I have a real son, and his best friend was born with him on the same day and in the same hospital, which means they share the same birthday. But I can tell you that that is where their similarities end. Okay, because my son loves Halloween. He celebrates it all year round. His room has spiders hanging from the ceiling and ghosts that go up the wall, and he never takes them down. But his best friend doesn't like Halloween at all. He loves Christmas. So this story came to me because they're two real boys. And I want you to remember that while we read this story, that there are actually two boys that are represented by these two characters, and everything that happened in this book really happened in real life. So we're going to read this now, my book, Halloween Boy and the Christmas Kid. It all began on an autumn afternoon at a hilltop hospital in one tiny, tucked away town. Right before breakfast, then just shy of sunset, two beautiful babies were born. They made the perfect pair that now forever shared the same birthday. After 6 years of separation, they met again when they were mixed into a crowded kindergarten class. They sat uncomfortable and unaware of their unbreakable birthday bond. Cupcakes and clapping reminded them of their calendar connection, and right then and right there, they became the fastest of friends. But sometimes things that might seem similar are really not nearly the same. You see, it's believed back at birth that one boy had been touched by the haunted hand of Halloween, while the other kid felt the festive finger of Christmas. So from that moment forward, if it was frightening, lightning, or the least bit fear-heightening, Halloween Boy loved it. While over on the other side, the Christmas Kid kept a constant craving for only elves, eggnog, and everything evergreen. Either nighttime or daytime, dream time or playtime, it was always a great time for a bone-rattling bash or a bell-jingling ball. Both boys liked to dress up and boasted cluttered closets filled with all sorts of crazy costumes. But their collections clashed because the outfits they owned were completely opposite. Not even the seasons could keep them from celebrating. Halloween boys stayed spooky all through spring and summer, while the Christmas kid would decorate days far from December. Actually, they were immensely mismatched in almost any way that mattered. They dined differently, designed differently, and definitely shined differently. They were clearly not copies, and certainly not clones, and yet that never presented a problem for these permanent pals. Once, for a week, the Christmas kid chose to change from cheery to eerie, but the results were rather scary. There was also a time when Halloween boy tried to jumpstart the joy and jolt his jolly, but the effort ended horribly. Still, despite their daunting differences, this duo always balanced out as best buddies. In the fall, the leaves fell, and soon pumpkins were parked on every patio and porch, and after so many months of patience, a breathless boy could horribly howl, "Happy Halloween!" because it was finally the Halloween boy's favorite day of the year. Come November, they remembered their everlasting link and lit candles, cut cake, and looked forward to another incredible year together. When winter rolled in, it brought wrapping, red ribbons, and restless reindeer, as well as the opportunity for an otherwise quiet kid to announce with mirth and magic, "Merry Christmas!" because it was finally the Christmas kid's favorite date on the calendar. But let's go back to barely 3 days before, when this holiday came close to a halt. It was an innocent attempt and an impossible plan, and it almost ended a friendship. Now remember, I said that everything in this story is true. Okay, all of those things really happened, and this really happened also. Every year, my son tries to build a Santa trap. It's true. He tries to catch Santa. One year, he put a net underneath our fireplace, but it didn't work. The next year, he put a whole bunch of those little glue traps, the ones you try to catch mice with. That didn't work either. But he made a mistake, because the third year he went to school and he told his best friend, the Christmas kid, about a new trap he was working on. And the Christmas kid got very upset. He said, "You can't do that, because if you catch Santa, then how will the rest of us get our gifts?" And for the first time, they started arguing. And they were getting louder and louder as they fought over which was better, Halloween or Christmas. And the louder they got, everyone started to notice as they yelled at each other. Halloween is better because it has masks and spiders and candy. And then the other one said, Christmas is better because it has trees and snow and presents. And eventually, a teacher heard them, and she had to come and separate them. And she said, "Boys, boys, boys, best friends shouldn't be fighting like this." So she came up with a solution. Her plan was the following day, when they came back to school, they were not allowed to talk about Halloween or Christmas for one day. Instead, they had to come and share with the class their other interests. So actually, everyone went home to search for trinkets or treasures or something else special that they could share with their classmates, while Halloween boy and the Christmas kid prepared to prove that they were deeper than a couple of dates. Now guess what happened? My son and his best friend went home, and they had to come in the next day. Nothing Halloween or Christmas, only their other interests. So my son came in to talk about wrestling and video games, and the Christmas kid came in to talk about his other interests, hockey and art. And it turned out they didn't match again. So the Christmas kid looked at his friend and said, "If we are so different, should we even stay best friends?" And they had to think about that. What do you think? Should two people who are very, very different, should they be best friends? Is that a good thing? Well, they thought about it, and eventually they agreed that the answer was totally, truly, positively yes. It's awesome when people are very different and they're best friends. That is the best way to have a best friend. And the truth is, these two boys have been best friends their whole life. And on the last page of the book, there's a photo of the two real boys. My son is the spooky, scary one, and his best friend is the Santa Claus. Because every year they go trick-or-treating together, but the Christmas kid really doesn't like trick-or-treating, so he dresses like Santa Claus every single year. Okay? How was that? That was fun, huh? But guess what? There's more. Okay, every book I do, I like to hide a little secret. Do you like secrets? Yeah, me too. That's why in every book I hide something different. And the reason I do that is so that when you read it the second and the third and the fourth time, you have something interesting to look for. Okay, so I'm going to show you what the secret in Halloween Boy and the Christmas Kid is. If you go back and you look at this page here, okay, there's someone hiding. Because this book is about Halloween and Christmas, but there are so many interesting holidays. Okay, so if you look around in this book, and here's an example on this page, if you look really close, you might find that someone is hiding right behind the present that Christmas Kid is wrapping. Okay, there's a leprechaun there for St. Patrick's Day. So when you see the book next time, it'll be your job to find the turkey for Thanksgiving, the Cupid for Valentine's Day, the mom and dad for Mother's and Father's Day, and there's even a groundhog for Groundhog's Day. So that gives you something exciting to look for the next time you read Halloween Boy and the Christmas Kid. So now we're going to move on to another book. And this book is a little different because this book is about a little girl. Okay, and this is the little girl here. Her name is Sunny. And this is where I got the idea for this book. I have a friend that has a little girl that's about 2 years old and a newborn baby that's real small and just born. And one day while I was at their house, the tiny baby was sleeping, and for no reason, the little girl crept up to her crib. She looked inside and yelled, "Everybody wake up!" And the baby woke up crying, and the mother was so mad, and I bust out laughing because I thought it was funny. Okay, so this story is not totally true, but you'll see that the beginning of the story where I got the idea from, that really happened. This book is called Everybody Wake Up. And here's how it works. I'm going to read the story part, but I want you at home or in your classroom, when we get to the Everybody Wake Up part, I want you to yell as loud as you can, "Everybody wake up!" So we make sure that no one in your house or no one in your school is still sleeping. All right, let's get started. The sun arrived very early and sent its warm rays out in every possible direction. Some of those rays went through the window of a cute little girl resting snug in her bed. When the light gently brushed against her cheek, she knew that it was time to rise and shine. It was time to wake up. Sunny greeted the new day with a great big stretch and an even bigger smile. It was time to get started, and today was going to be amazing. She slipped on her favorite dress, combed her golden curls, and grabbed her book bag. Now she was ready for another beautiful morning. On the way to the kitchen, Sunny passed her little sister's room. The tiny baby was curled up under her blanket, surrounded by toys and sleeping peacefully. Babies sleep way too much, she thought. They miss out on all the best parts of the day. Sunny grabbed hold of the crib, took a deep breath, and shouted, Everybody wake up. And now the baby was awake. Sunny skipped down the hall and discovered her mommy and daddy still in bed. They looked comfortable but were snoring too loudly to hear the birds outside. Uh-oh, she worried. Their alarm clock must have broken. They're going to be late for work. Sunny leaned close to her father, took a deep breath, and exclaimed, "Everybody wake up!" And now her parents could be on time for work. As Sunny continued on, she realized that the triplets were still missing. When she searched their room, she found all three under the covers, ignoring the daylight. "This isn't good," she declared. "The school bus could be here any minute, and they wouldn't want to miss it." Sunny tiptoed inside, took a deep breath, and hollered, "Everybody wake up!" And the socks flew all over the room. One even landed in her brother's mouth. Gross. Sunny hopped down the stairs but stopped short when she found all the family pets, unaware that the sun had risen. The dog and the fish were in dreamland, and the cats were both snoozing. "It's almost 8 o'clock, she gasped. "It's time to run and chase and jump." Sunny shut her eyes tight, took a deep breath, and yelled, "Everybody wake up!" And the fish popped right out of the fish tank. Before heading out to school, Sunny spent some time exploring in the garden. Right there under a big rock were all sorts of bugs that failed to hear the rooster crow. "What a shame," she whispered. "There are so many pretty flowers to smell. Why should butterflies have all the fun?" Sunny bent close to the ground, took a deep breath, and screeched, "Everybody wake up!" And the bugs went bounce, 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 bouncing across the morning lawn. At school, Sunny noticed a kindergarten class where the children were supposed to be alert. Surprisingly, their books were shut, their pencils were still, and their heads were down. "This is silly," she chuckled. "How can you learn anything with your eyes closed?" Sunny crept up to the door, took a deep breath, and announced, "Everybody wake up!" And the pencils and the pens and the crayons flew all over the room. After school, Sunny and her mom stopped to visit Grandpa and his friends. Everyone was gathered in the activities room, but there was no activity. "What time is it?" Sunny teased. "It's playtime." She marched to the center of the room, took a deep breath, and howled, "Everybody wake up!" And poor Grandma's wig jumped right off her head. Sunny's mom stopped to check on her brother who worked at the movie theater. While they were chatting, Sunny took a peek at what was playing and wasn't happy with what she saw. "Oh my," she fretted, "the film is almost over and everyone is about to miss the ending." Sunny nibbled her candy, took a deep breath, and bellowed, "Everybody wake up!" And the popcorn and the nachos and the soda spilled all over the theater. Sometimes it was nice to take a shortcut through the zoo. Most of the animals there were active and excited, but the bats weren't enjoying the day at all. "How sad," Sunny sighed. "Weather as splendid as this should never ever be wasted." She pressed her nose against the glass, took a deep breath, and cried, "Everybody wake up!" And the bats were no longer nocturnal. 2 blocks from home, Sunny spotted a very quiet construction site. The equipment wasn't moving because the men were taking siestas right in the middle of their shifts. "Is this normal?" Sunny questioned. "Nothing will ever get built this way." She picked up a megaphone, took a deep breath, and shrieked, "Everybody wake up!" And now the building could be completed. Later that evening, Sunny ate dinner, took a bath, and brushed her teeth. She was exhausted from a long day and needed to rest for tomorrow. She climbed into bed, pulled the sheets up to her chin, and settled in for a good night's sleep. She had just drifted off when the door creaked open. There were deep breaths and everybody wake up. Everyone had figured out where Sunny lived. The construction workers, the people from the movie theater, the bats, even a tiny snail in there had found her, and they showed her what it feels like to be woken up like that. Sunny just leaves people alone when they're sleeping now. The end. So that was fun. Probably a little bit loud, but that's what makes it fun. Okay, but guess what? There's a secret in every book, and they're always different. So this book has got a special secret. If you think back, how many babies were in the book? 1. How many parents? 2. How many brothers? 3. So do you see what's happening? This book is secretly a counting book, and it counts all the way up to 10 construction workers. So the next time you read this book, or the next time you watch this video, I want you to look and see if you can find the hidden numbers. Now remember, the numbers are not on the pages where people are sleeping. Okay, not on pages like this. There's no number. Only when the people are being woken up. So I'm going to show you one example and see if you can find the number. So here, the bats are sleeping. But when we switch to them being woken up, if you look all the way at the top is the hidden number 9, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bats. Okay, so it's your job to find all the other numbers. Okay, some of them are easy and some of them are hard, but all the numbers from the number 1 to the number 10 are hidden in this book. So, how was that? We read 2 really good stories. I told you where I got the ideas for those stories, and I want you now to think of your own idea for a good story. Okay, think of something interesting that you should tell and maybe do the drawings for. Maybe it's about a dog or a horse or an alien. Okay, think of something really good and then start working on your own books like my friend Milan did. All right, now to help you make good books, you can go to this website with your parents or your teachers, and there's all sorts of projects that can help you write and help you draw, and some of them that are just fun to do and make projects and make monsters and color in things. Okay? So I had an amazing time with you here today. I hope you also enjoyed being with me, and I hope that you have a very special day. Bye!